Alrighty, hey there, Epic Investors. It's Matt from Epic Real Estate, where we show people how to invest in real estate with an emphasis on retiring early. And today we're going to talk about how to leave a cushy six-figure job to become a full-time real estate investor. And I thought this was a really good opportunity to have that conversation because more of my recent clients kind of fall into that category. And I know that they're looking for inspiration. They're just getting started on their journey. So I want to bring on two clients that I've been working with for a little while, and they've actually just made that transition recently, and they're totally crushing it. And I want you to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And so we'll talk about that. And today is probably the last day I'm here in this makeshift office, and we've got our full office being built. The supply chain has opened up. We've got everything, all the materials, and we got our walls, and because all of our walls were glass, and we couldn't. And there was no glass in the whole United States for a little while. So that took us like 6 months. And anyway, this will be the last one. Hopefully I'm going to sound a lot better from this point going forward. And hopefully the environment and everything's going to look a lot better. And so thanks for hanging in with me there. I don't know, maybe you guys didn't even notice. I'm conscious of it because I'm such a production freak. Anyway, okay, congratulations to all the Ram fans out there. You know, someone just asked me, am I just a Rams fan because of the Super Bowl? No, I'm not. I have been a Rams fan since I was as long as I remember what football was. And I was very disappointed when they left Los Angeles the first time and went and won that Super Bowl in St. Louis. And they finally came back and won one here. So I am going to wear this in celebration. I'm still a little bit on in the euphoric Rams fan vibes over here. All righty. So if this is your first time here, really glad that you found us. If you like what you hear, make sure you hit the subscribe button before you go. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. And thank you for sharing this with your friends and family. I really appreciate that about you. We wouldn't be here if you weren't doing that. So you're the absolute best for doing that. So thanks again. And before we get started, by the way, if you'd like to get started in real estate or start your existing real estate investing efforts, I put together a free training just for you. It's brand new, and you can find that in the description below, or you can just go straight to mattsfreetraining.com when we're done here today, mattsfreetraining.com. And if you'd like to work together, perhaps one-on-one, that would be a different type of conversation, and you can go to reiacevip.com or just go to reiace.com and answer a few questions, and then you can pick a time for us to hop on the phone and kind of brainstorm some ideas about what that would look like working together. All righty? So I'm going to bring on two former clients. Not a former. I'm going to bring on two clients. We're still working together. We've just been working together for a little while. And we were engaged a lot in the beginning in helping them get started up in their real estate investing. But the more time passed, the more independent they became. And now they're just absolutely crushing it. And it's a partnership. And the second partner just left his job. So now they are both financially free and out there in charge of their own lives financially, personally, and just overall. So without further ado, please help me welcome Mr. Tony Romero and Mr. Matt Young. Welcome, gang.
Hello.
Hi.
This is where you say welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
I wanted to say too, it's no second R, Romeo, like the book Romeo.
What did I say?
Juliet.
Oh, I said Romero.
It's like the Spanish way. They're really common.
Very good. I knew it was Romeo, but my eyes just went off.
Yeah.
I didn't trust myself, and I trusted my eyes, and the eyes were wrong. So there you go. Lesson learned. Anyway, welcome, gang. I wanted to bring you on to talk about how you've made this transition from this nice six-figure job that you guys both had, and you made this transition over to becoming full-time real estate investors. And now we got our eyes set on seven figures. So 2022, I know, is a very exciting year for you guys. And so I want to talk all about that and how you made this transition. A lot of my clients are in the same boat as you. Some are further along than others, but recently a bunch kind of fit into that category. A lot of people have signed on to this great resignation and they're trying to go out there and take financial control of their lives. And that's what we do here. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And I want to talk about how you did that specifically. But before we start, when we got started working together, when we first met, what was it that you guys were actually trying to accomplish? What was the actual goal? Tony, I'm going to start with you.
I want to say our goal together was to get as many doors as possible, and I want to think it was like our goal was 100 doors in 2 years. So our first original goal was to become landlords and buy as many houses as we possibly could. Then, of course, it's changed twice since then, and now we do a little bit of everything. But that was definitely the start, and that's where we were thinking it was going to go the farthest.
Got it. So you wanted to be landlords. That's something that you don't hear very often. What did you interact with, or what was your experience before we met that made you decide that's what you wanted to do?
We thought it was the quickest way to financial freedom.
Mhm.
Cash flow per month. That's cash flow's king. That's what we want, or that's what we wanted at the beginning. Then we realized that to buy all those houses, we need to have some sort of secondary income to put down payments for
Right.
leveraged loans on those properties. That's where it kind of switched to another option, and we started wholesaling deals. And we weren't keeping everything.
Hmm.
Uh, and Yeah, that's kind of our second
Perfect.
area win, is over into the wholesale deal.
Got it. Got it. Matt, anything to add? Were those your same goals?
Yeah, I think when we originally started with like this like pyramid idea where we could add four, and then get four more, and then after like 15 years of adding four a year, we could refinance those out every year. I think that's kind
Hmm.
of how it originally started. And then we're like, well, I think we could do more than four a year. And then we started talking and just researching and seeing who could help us and what we need to do, because I was still working full time at the dealership.
Hmm.
Tony was doing the stay at home dad thing, but just finished at the dealership. So um, we were just trying to brainstorm on what the fastest way to get there was, and that's how we ended up finding you.
Perfect.
So
Perfect. So if you're able to get out there and be able to accomplish that, Matt, what would that have meant to you professionally?
well, I think I came to a realization probably about 2 years ago, maybe a little more than 2 years ago. I didn't want to be in the car business the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And I just really wanted to get out of that 70-hour week grind where you're at the store from 7 in the morning until 8:30 at night every
Hmm.
day. And I just felt like real estate was that answer. So that's when we started going that route. And I thought about Tony when I was thinking real estate, because he originally left the car business to do the same thing.
Hmm.
And he was already out free to move around. So that's why we partnered together, so you can kind of be that boots on the ground step,
Hmm.
while we were transitioning. So
Got it. Got it. And Tony, I mean, if you were able to accomplish this, become the landlord and create that financial freedom, what would that have meant to you personally?
Just the financial freedom's the biggest thing. Having that cash flow every month to be able to not have to worry, and just that guaranteed money coming in. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's true freedom. That's
Hmm.
the meaning of freedom to me, is to be able to have that cash flow a month and to be able to live off that.
Got it. So you explained a little bit when we first started talking how your initial goal was to become a landlord, and then you decided, oh, we're going to need an additional income to go ahead and fund those down payments, and so it's kind of transitioned, and now you got a bunch of stuff going on. So explain to me, what does business look like today? But before,
Um,
how long ago? When did we start working together? That was about a year ago, right? A little year and a half, maybe.
I want to say, yeah,
yeah,
closer to a year and a half. I want to say it was the end of the summer. In Was it 2020 or 2019?
July of 20, I think.
Yeah, it
July
was
of
kind of
20.
Okay,
like right when
yeah.
we had that initial opening after the initial lockdown of COVID, right? It was right
Mm-hmm.
after that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, a year and a half. What does business look like for you guys today?
I mean, you can pretty much call us full on investors at this point, just because we do a little bit of every single part of it. We find deals, wholesale deals, take down and manage our own deals. We do hotels as well. Be able to take them down, do a little rehab, put them on the market.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, we have done multifamily deals in the past as well too. We've never done a commercial deal as of yet, but we have our first piece of land under contract right now. We have 10 to 11 acres in South Des Moines, Iowa, that we just literally got under contract yesterday. So that's a whole nother step into a whole nother game of like servicing land or surveying land and getting that put together.
Right.
Um, and then I feel like there's a whole nother oh yeah, and then also too we have Airbnb. So little bit of everything, and really it's just whatever property makes sense for that exit strategy,
Mhm.
or other way around, exit strategy makes sense for that property. So a little bit of everything, but our majority of our thing is we find deals and wholesale deals to other investors here in the Des Moines market, and then of course we hold property too. We have 13 properties as of today,
Mhm.
under our control, slash we own outright, or not own outright, but own the leveraged money. I'll let Matt jump in. He's probably got two or three more things I'm forgetting.
Sure. No, and Matt, let me kind of tee you up a little bit also and kind of segue into the next question that I had. You kind of hung out at the job a little bit longer than you had anticipated because COVID was kind of a blessing to the car industry, right? And you couldn't walk away from those big paydays. So kind of leave off where or pick up where Tony left off, and if you can, kind of share me some stats and some numbers of what actually enabled you to walk away from what was financially very fruitful.
Yeah, definitely was one of the hardest decisions I think I've made is to leave the dealership. We were setting record after record month. They had a budget, I think, last year of $3.5 million for the store, and they more than doubled that by the end of the year. So that's an incredible amount of increase year over year. But the biggest thing was I knew that I needed to make that step and go full time with Tony to be able to keep growing the business. We had so many things going on when Tony's running around, trying to transaction coordinate and go on these appointments and set the appointments and then follow up on the new leads coming in. So I knew if we were going to get going any faster, I just had to make the jump in and help Tony make those calls, set up those appointments. And since then, I've been out, I think, 3 months now. Really about almost 4, but the first couple of weeks we just had newborn babies, so I didn't spend a lot of time in the business. I had a couple things at home to attend to, but
Sure.
Now that we're about 3 months full time into it, we're just really trying to systemize our process, focus on getting the leads called. Although we did have a pretty good first year, we had a bunch of leads that fell through the cracks we didn't follow up with. So the last 3 months we've just been going back and hammering through calls, trying to catch up and pick up those deals, and we've got 10 houses actually under contract right now because of that, and we've already closed on 4 this year for holds ourselves. So off to a great start. Got a couple people on the disposition side of those 10 contracts, and then we just got a couple more signed up that we're starting to disposition. But yeah, what Tony mentioned, we're at 13 properties. I think our total in that year we're at 1.7 million in total real estate under our control, with about debt of about $1 million, just over $1 million. So we picked up some good equity and some great cash flow in that year, and we just got to keep growing that. So that's the plan.
Awesome. So 1.7 net, almost $1 million in your first year of equity, right? And if we added all the wholesales, we'd probably hit that number, right?
Yeah, I think we did about 150,000 in wholesales.
Okay, perfect. So fantastic first year. And so I think you kind of described to me a little bit logistically. And the reason I'm asking this question this way is because I think this is a big decision people deliberate with as far as real estate is going well. Do I wait until my income from real estate matches my day job? Or do I see so much opportunity, it makes sense for me to make the leap because I know that income will be there? So do you think it was more, your decision, Matt, was more logistic driven, or was it more financially, like the security part driven?
Logistic driven. Yeah. I'm a little ways away from catching up to the dealership.
Okay. All right. That's where I wanted to get at. So, but perfect. I mean, you saw the logistic gaps, and then that resulted in 10 new deals just like that in 3 months.
Yeah. I definitely think we can keep that consistency throughout the year. And if we do 10 wholesale deals a month, then I'll be back to where we need to be. So
Perfect. Okay. So, hey, if you're going to do this all over again, and Tony, I mean, you'd already walked away from your job before, right? So before we met,
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I made the decision that Matt made about being there 60, 70 hours a week, or it's just a lot.
Right. Okay. So what I'm not clear with was how much real estate or experience you had under your belt before we met. Can you kind of elaborate of what allowed you to quit before you and I even met?
So personally, not a whole bunch, but my dad owned 19 properties when he passed away. So I did kind of the disposition after that to help get rid of a bunch of those. I was only 17 at the time, or no, I was only 18 at the time. So I didn't have a lot of power to be able to swing around and do what I would have liked to do, I didn't have the knowledge today that I would have been able to use then as well too. But I got to witness it. I got to watch it. And you can ask Matt this as well too. I have pretty good connections in the community here for the laborers, the people that to fill the houses that we have. There's just I got to witness a lot of it and put it in place, but actual education wise, very, very little to none.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to ask you both this question since you guys did it very differently. If you were to go through this and make this transition from your normal day job to becoming a full-time real estate investor, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Man, I feel like
You want me to go first?
I feel like
Matt looks like he's chomping at the bit. I know.
Go ahead, Matt. You jump in.
That's exactly what I do. If I had the crystal ball, I would have taken my 401k money, put it all into Bitcoin the day that I signed up with you, quit my job, let that thing go up 6 times, and been borrowing from that out of a wallet and just investing in real estate the whole time, and been full blast the whole time.
Well, the crystal ball.
I know it'd have been a tough thing to walk away from that potential of the year, but looking back, that's what I wish I would have done.
I actually have that same thought.
I seriously, when I went to meet with you in Las Vegas, I had that in the back of my head. Like, should I just take my whole 401k right now, put it in? I think it was at $10,000, and then use that. But I didn't do it, and I stayed at the dealership. We did borrow the money. I borrowed the $100,000, I borrowed $100,000 from my 401k, and we used that to buy some deals, burr out of them, and while I was working. But I wish I'd have just took it all, put it into that, and then borrowed against it.
You know, that's when you brought something up that a lot of people are very emotional about, and that is their 401k. And depending on how long they've been at their job, it could have gone to they got 10 years at a certain position and they've been contributing to it. Now it's like it's this amount, and it's not enough to retire on, but it is a decent amount in many cases. And the idea of pulling that out and thinking of taxes and penalties and all that type of stuff really frightens people into just leaving it there and doing nothing. What would you say to somebody? Because I know there's some mouths dropping open and they're like, oh my God, what an idiot. He should have never done that or something, whatever that's going through people's minds. What would you say to them? Do you have any regrets about doing that?
So I didn't take it out, but I wish I would have. My financial advisor advised me against it because of the taxable benefits of it, or the taxable consequences of it. But looking back, I mean, easily if I would have made those moves, that 40% hit, I mean, even if it was 40%, which it probably wouldn't have been nothing, you know what I mean, compared to what I could have made on it. Right. So I remember when we were sitting in Las Vegas, you talked about how when you're investing in the 401k, you're kind of retiring your money now so that you can use it later. And I've really been thinking about that ever since that moment, on how I can kind of free up that money. And now that I'm out of the dealership, I'm working on rolling it into a self-directed IRA so we can use it as private money lending on our deals and just keep building it, since it is still all intact. I think that's my new plan with it.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on the situation. I think maybe for some people it might not be the best move depending on where they're at in their life, but in other people's situations, I think it might be the way to go. So,
right. I agree. I think it depends. If you've got a plan for that money and it's going to produce more for you now than it would later, then absolutely. Even despite all the taxes and the penalties, if you're going to make up for it, then, why not enjoy the benefit now? Because you guys are both super young, right? And so, I mean, do you really want to wait till you're 62 years old before you get that money? Or could you put it together now and have a whole lot more money to play with by the time you hit the age of 62, right? Tony, if you were to, now that you had a chance to think about it, if you had to do it all over, what would you do differently?
I think like Matt said, I would have went all in faster. Of course, you just have this thing in the back of your mind thinking, is this the right idea? Is this something but the thing that I've learned just in experience in life so far is persistence pays. So as long as you stay persistent with something, and especially if it's something like this that's a proven asset range or proven income, just staying persistent with it and actually doing the day to day and making the phone calls and making the relationships and all that. I feel like if I would have built that stronger in the beginning, we'd be double as far as we were today. Yeah, I think relationships and then going all in my mind instead of the second guessing.
Right. Just committing.
Yeah.
It's something that's proven. I agree. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, it's proven. So just commit to it.
Over and over.
Yep. Over and over. Super. So let me ask you, what are been your 3 favorite things about working with Epic? Tony, you can go first.
The communication. I was gonna say the communication, being able to send you a message and it get responded in a timely manner is awesome. It's, as Matt will probably tell you this, it's helped us tremendously in not making the mistakes because we have somebody that knows what he's doing / has been through those experiences before. We still ask you questions. I feel like we just asked you a question this week that you answered immediately. And like you said earlier, we've been in this over a year now to where you kind of could have put us off a little bit, but no, it's an immediate answer right then and there, and it got us right to where we needed to be. So I'd say open communication is number 1. That's so awesome. The educational videos are insane. And then third, I learned from seeing, so being able to go and meet with you was a big thing. And your intro to this, I would love to come down and see your guys' setup in the new office or whatever. I didn't know that you were transitioning to an office down there. So I would love to come and see that at some point.
Yes. Well, the invitation is open. So anytime you want. Yeah. For sure. This Saturday, all remodeling and everything should be done. My office is done today. I'll be moving in the office tomorrow. And then, but we have a huge classroom now. I mean, a ginormous classroom, and that's all being done. And it's really cool. Yeah. So please, we're about to do the investor labs anyway. So we're going to have our monthly mastermind day. So you can come and go to those as many times or as little times as you want. Okay.
Super. For sure.
Matt, anything to add to the favorite parts about working with Epic?
Yeah, I think the education and then the support throughout the process anytime we got stuck, and then the creative aspect to it. I feel like we really have saved a lot of our deals with that creative aspect, which we started in the beginning, kind of going in, trying to get these creative deals put together. And then we kind of learned throughout time that it's best to maybe just get the house under contract, figure out that if we can make the deal work traditionally. And if it doesn't work, we've been transitioning back to that creative conversation once we're already under contract, and then saying, hey, this isn't really quite working the way we thought it would. And then we go back to like a subject to or some kind of option like that. Like we just put a deal together where we gave a lady $10,000 down with a balloon and 120 months.
120 days.
Yeah. No, 120 days. Sorry. Of 50,000. So the house is worth $100,000. It doesn't need any work. We put a renter in it like 2 days after we closed, and we're in the process of getting a loan in place on that property for that $50,000. So we'll be in it, no money, and we acquired a house. And I think without going through this course, we would have never have thought about doing that.
That's awesome. So before we started recording, Tony and I were talking just a little bit, and you said you were really excited about 2022, right? So now both of you guys are freed from your corporate jobs, and now it's all in on real estate investing. So tell me, what are you so excited about for 2022? What do you see for the future?
I'll let you jump in, Matt.
I think being able to consistently get that wholesaling business down to a consistent monthly number where we're doing it part-time. We had that where you fill your pipeline up, you sell it through all your houses, and you have to like rush back in to fill your pipeline, and you have those lulls where you're not getting a deal closed every month. And we're trying to get a deal closed every week, so we're getting paid constantly. So I think just to be able to get that consistency in the deal flow, to be able to in turn take a salary back from the business and keep growing our rental portfolio. We do have some commercial lending, but I still have 4 mortgages I could put on my name, and Tony has 10. So we definitely want to get a salary going, use up those mortgages, and then go back to the commercial side. So
perfect. Yeah, and then roll them right back into a portfolio loan and start all over again, right? Super.
Yep, you got it.
Tony, what are you most excited about? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, just the opening of opportunities. Like I said, we just got under contract some land. It's something that we never really thought about before. We were only thinking houses, and so that opens up a lot of options to either just wholesale that land, actually get it surveyed and parcel it out, or maybe even try developing down the road. We don't have the or connections in place right now to do the developing, but we're on track and we're meeting people constantly. We started having realtors ask us for to go to lunches. That's kind of cool and new. There's just and just seeing the amount of people in the, I should show you my Facebook Messenger. It's kind of mind blowing. I probably have 40 people in there asking me how to wholesale slash how did I start slash what happened, what was the downfall, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So just our market is noticing us. That makes me feel good too. People calling us, asking them questions and stuff.
Right. It's remarkable, isn't it? It's fun too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
Action.
right. The action speaks for itself for sure, and people follow that. They're
Mm-hmm.
attracted to it. Um, one thing we were also talking about before we started recording was I was telling you about Corey, who one of my older students, and he's been very, very successful. And I remember the day that he quit his job, and on his way out, his boss actually called, asked him into the office, and said, "Hey, I'm kind of tired of this place too. What are you gonna go do? Can I come with you?" And it made me think of the story that you just shared. So, kind of
Yeah.
share a little bit about that, Tony.
So we kind of hired on our first employee, and it's just interesting. I shouldn't say first employee, first caller. He is known as one of the better closers here in the state of Iowa when it came to car deals or car sales. Transitioning his word tracks and verbatim or verbiage into housing market took a little bit of time, like a couple weeks, to try to get that switched over. But now um, our boss is our employee as of today. So it was quite the transition
Huh.
that way. Almost the same exact thing as this Corey, but it actually happened. Not the guy just asked.
Right, right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you guys want to stick around just to answer a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Sure.
If you have any
I'm
questions,
frozen.
then go ahead and fire them into the chat, the live chat there. And if you like what you're hearing, let us know by hitting the like button. That'll let YouTube know that you like it too, and they'll show it to more people, and more people get to benefit from this. So this question right here, good one, from Rob. Do you all find that homes for sale from distressed sellers seem to come about easier now that you are in the rental business? Interesting question, but do you find any advantage of that, or advantage to
I was
that?
to say, Matt, go ahead, jump in there.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. For some reason, it looks like I'm frozen on my screen. But I don't know that it's easier to find distressed properties that were in the rental business. I think we understand that portion of the business a little better. So when we're talking to an absentee owner about the situation, when they're saying that they're having a problem with water in the basement or whatever the issue is in the house, we've kind of gone through it. So you can
Mhm.
have that rapport and common ground. I think it's easier to kind of have those conversations when they can tell you know what you're talking about as well. Because definitely in the beginning, when you're talking to the people and you're just winging it, some people
Right.
catch you. So I think just being in it kind of helps a little bit.
Right.
But I don't know that it help you find more sellers that way.
Let's go deeper into that. A lot of people are thinking that the market is so hot that no one wants to sell their house at a discount, but obviously you're still finding them. So give me some of the top
Yeah.
2 or 3
I
ways you
think
guys are
people
finding
think
your
it's so
deals.
hot. I think people think it's so hot that it's a good time to sell their house because they take advantage before it's too late. So I think you run into that a lot. But I think the absentee owner is still our biggest area of deals. We find the most of our deals from absentee owner. We do get a little bit of people that have been in their house for 5 to 7 years and they're just to the point where they want to move, and we're the easiest answer. But I think the majority of our deals still come from absentee owner.
From the absentee owners. And how are you reaching out to them?
And yeah, we're using Go for Close primarily. We just started our first direct mail campaign, but we've been using Go for Close, and we just call the leads as they come in. And now that we are full time, we're going back and we're recalling all the leads we've gotten since the beginning. So even the ones that we did have conversations with in the beginning and we didn't do the greatest with and we didn't make them deals, we're just calling back fresh, like we never talked to them before ever. And
Nice.
we're just working on re-putting together that deal just like it's brand new.
So Tony, is that where these last 10 deals came from? Just following up with old leads?
Maybe 3 or 4 of them might have been
100%.
new leads, but the majority of them are definitely rekindling deals or rekindling leads.
Right. Are you finding that like your old leads, and as a lot of people do once they've been in the business for a while, if they'll actually go through the process, finding that your old leads are your best leads?
Oh, 100% they're the best. Yeah,
Wow.
it's surprising the amount of people that don't want to call somebody. You just got to think about it in your own life. Like today, I'm way different of a position than I was 6 months ago, than I was a year ago. So just think, every time you touch that person, you're planting that seed that, hey, I'm the answer for you when the time is ready.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question, and I know I just walked you guys through this, but I'll let you guys explain it. You guys doing any sub twos?
Yeah, we actually have.
Yes.
We own 3 sub twos, and I think we have 2 under contract right now.
So the last one, if I remember correctly, the last one you reached out to me, Matt, was something a little bit creative. Can you explain that one to me?
Yeah. So the last one I reached out to you about, we took over a property. She refinanced it with a home equity line of credit, and her grandma was living in there. She has her own residence. Her grandma was living in this one, and she was just renting it to her grandma. Her grandma needed to move to an assisted living facility, and she went to go sell that house with a realtor, but because she had so much debt on it from her home equity line of credit, she has no equity, so she'd had to come out of pocket to pay the realtor's commissions to sell the house. So we gave her $1,000 and took over the lien. And then as we were doing that, we realized it was a home equity line of credit. And then we're like, well, shoot, she could probably draw back on that line of credit. So that's when I reached out to you and try to get those answered. And we have to get that set up so she cannot do that. But
and
it's just an interesting deal.
How can you do that? 'Cause that's a unique situation. It was something that I had actually never encountered. But we pulled our resources together and got a good answer. So how did it work out?
We haven't got it completed yet.
Okay.
But what we
at
need
least
to
have a
do
plan
is
of
have a
action.
conversation with her. And basically we got to get on the phone with her and her bank, let her bank know that we are the property managers of the property. And that if she was to increase that line, we'd have to be notified and also give the okay because we have interest in the property.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. You good?
No, you're right. No, we are in the process of doing that. We just have like 7 different things going on at all times. So
perfect. Let me ask you this question, because this is going to come up a lot, and I think it could become an issue, particularly if the Fed does raise the rates in March and again in June and maybe a couple more times by the end of the year, where the mortgage rates are going to be changing, right? And that could have a negative impact on subject twos. I don't know for sure, but it certainly could, as you know, the new loans being written up at a higher rate might make the banks a little bit more inclined to go back and call the original subject twos due because they're at such a low rate, and maybe they might want to rewrite them at a higher rate. That's kind of that's the philosophy. And it hasn't been an issue because over the last 30 years, rates are going down, 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 and there hasn't been a whole lot of incentive for banks to call those due. Walk me through your process when you're taking over subject to. Tony, maybe you can do this one. Do you actually call the bank? Do you use a trust? What is your strategy for that?
Matt does a lot of this. I'm gonna let him jump in on this conversation.
Go
I'm more of in the door talking to the seller.
You said something that made me come up with this question was, you said when you said you're the property manager. So I wanted to know like what your actual angle is when you're talking to the bank.
So we don't typically talk to the bank. I know that's an important step, but we just kind of roll the dice until it happens where we get into some heat, and then we kind of figure it out. So we haven't really had too many issues. We did have one of the banks just show up at a property. We're rehabbing it,
Mhm.
A lady from the bank just walked up, knocked on the door, was taking pictures of the house, had no idea what she was doing. And I told her I was the new owner of the property. Little did I know that she was from the bank that has the loan on the property still.
Uh-huh.
But nothing ever came of it. She never came back. And then they sent us a letter a few days later that said that the foreclosure process was no longer in process. So, but yeah, that's a perfect example where they know that we own it, and we're just paying it over the payments. So if they were to come to us to say that they wanted to call the loan due, we would probably try to go that trust route and see if we could save it. If not, we just refinance out of it if possible.
Got it. Interesting.
Typically, our idea is to burr out of them as our plan going into them.
Right.
So that's why we didn't go through all those steps up front. But we did partner with Anderson Business Advisors to do the trust side of things. We just never went through full circle with it.
Okay, super. Next question here. We'll go ahead and wrap this up right after this one. What if I have capital but lack consistent proof of work history? How do I get in the game?
That seems like more of a question to you.
It does kind of, right? But I got you guys here. I just want to know what you guys' advice would be. People hear for 10 years, they've been hearing my advice on this show about that specific thing. I'm wondering what you guys would say.
I don't know what lack of concept or work history means. So it's basically saying that they don't have consistent jobs, so they can't get a traditional loan. And in that case, I would either find somebody that you could partner with that can get the loan, and do a deal with them or two, or see if you could lend somebody the money and let them show you the process, but you don't make sure that they know what they're doing before you give them your money. Or just try to find a creative solution, like someone that really is behind on payments and you happen to have enough funds to catch those payments up and take over that loan. Something, a deal like that could work too.
Got it. Okay. Now that you read that question totally differently than I did, and I think you nailed it. Because he says, what if I have capital? That rarely comes across. But I have capital, but lack of work history. So it probably means they having trouble getting the financing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would think. They're not getting the
All right.
financing.
There's actually,
that is tough to do, the financing
right?
side.
I'll put a little, it's not going to be the best rates, but it's better than hard money. What's it called? Epic Lending Home. Let's go to right here for long-term holds. Epic Lending Home could be a really good source for long-term holds. It's going to be more expensive than your traditional banks, but they are going to look at the deal before they look at you, or more so than they're looking at you. And it could be good enough until you are able to go ahead and do a right refinance, okay, with a more traditional sense. But we've used that a couple times already. Let's see. We'll do one more. Here we go. Here's for Jason. All right. Tony, this is a land question, I think, right? Land is an easier and higher yielding option for investors that dig in 200+% returns, though the deals are generally much smaller in value. What are your plans with the land?
That's the thing, is we don't have the exit plan yet. Part of it is we need to have the land surveyed, and then also just to our local investors that we've kind of put the birdie in their ear about it. We have some good amount of interest. So most likely on this one, we'll just watch the process and wholesale the deal than actually doing it. But the nice thing about it is we have another house under contract that has 11 acres, just probably 5 to 10 minutes farther south than that one, that we can actually run that process on. And that one has a house on it. So it's a little bit more of a safer gig for us because it's something we've done on a consistent basis. That's the best way I could answer that question in my mind, just because we're so fresh into the land game that we don't have a lot of experience with it yet. So we're going to probably be asking you some questions, and also asking our community some questions as well.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out, and congratulations, Matt, for being your own boss now. And then you guys have a great year, and you guys know how to get in touch with me if you need me already.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, guys. All righty. So that wraps up the show. And if you found this episode valuable, who else do you know that might too? There's a really good chance that you do know someone else that would. And when their name comes to mind, please share it with them. and ask them to click the subscribe button also when they get here, and I'll take great care of them. And if you haven't done so, please click the subscribe button, click the like button. I really appreciate that about you. And God loves you, and so do I. Health, peace, blessings, and success to you. I'm Matt Theriault.